Okay, we'll get started. Don't forget to silence your gadgets. And to get rolling, we'll do a roll call.
Bell.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freeling. Present. Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman.
Here.
Majerick.
Here.
Ott. Here. Pittsburgh.
Here.
Walrath.
Here.
Werfel. Here. Yarborough. Present. Elliott.
Here.
We have 12 present, 0 absent.
How about that? Some minutes from a week ago. Anybody want to move those forward? Moved by Ott. Is there support?
Yeah.
Supported by Freeling. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Requisition review.
Good morning. Does anybody have any questions about the requisitions that went out? No? Perfect, thank you.
All right, we'll segue into the scheduled discussion. Shelley, you want to get started since you're here?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Nice to be here. So let me give you an update here. Thank you, Annette, for putting that up for everyone. Okay. Okay, today I'll be presenting the 2023 foreclosing governmental unit report of the 2021 real property foreclosure sales, identifying any remaining balance after all the costs and taxes and everything has been paid on those foreclosed properties, on the sale properties. In box number 1, we started off with 2,095 parcels subject to foreclosure when we filed the petition in June of 2020. Of those, 123 parcels were entered on the judgment of foreclosure. The others that didn't go to the judgment were either redeemed, they were on a payment agreement, or various other reasons they were withheld from the judgment. Box number 2, the total minimum bids for those 123 parcels was $365,797.31. Going to box number 3, 3 municipalities exercised their first right of refusal to purchase 5 properties prior to the auction. They were Lincoln Charter Township, Village of Berrien Springs, and the City of Benton Harbor. Box number 4, the total minimum bid for those 5 parcels was $15,097.81, and they paid that amount as well in box number 5. Box number 6, of the 123 parcels offered, 99 properties were sold at the online auction. 20 of those properties were removed from the sale for various reasons, one prior to the auction. There were 4 Riverview condos that we sent through the first auction, and then pulled from the second sale, so they didn't go for the minimum bid. So box number 7, the total minimum bid for the 99 properties was $313,951.76. This includes the delinquent taxes of 3 or more years, interest, fees, and other costs associated with it. The 99 properties sold for a total of $1,425,489.27. The amount of taxes, penalties, interest, fees, and costs on the foreclosed properties is $365,797.31. Total amount paid for all properties, including those sold to the local municipalities, was $1,440,587.08. A total of $92,319.83 has been paid out to 2 claimants, those that filed a claim for excess proceeds in that year. There are 6 claims that remain outstanding for a total of $239,330 $39,072, where the 5% cost recovery fee has been deducted from that, as the 6 claims that remain outstanding, they're tied up in the court right now. We're waiting on a decision in regards to that, to those. If the court rules that the treasurer is not entitled to the 5%, the proceeds to be dispersed would amount to $297,940.78, with a loss of $14,897 that we would lose if we do not get awarded the 5% recovery cost, bringing that net amount to $743,130.22. So the net amount, after subtracting after the proceeds claims, only the 2 claims that have been deducted. I haven't included the remainder yet because we don't know what we'll have to pay out. After subtracting those claims, we've paid out for the taxes and other costs and everything associated with it. The remaining balance came to $982,469.94. That was for the 2021 foreclosure year. Are there any questions, comments? That sheet? Yeah,
I'll make up.
yeah, we can do that.
Thank you very much.
Shelley, just so I'm clear, the only individual that can apply for the excess proceeds is the original property owner. They can't have someone else file for that on their behalf.
We have found that an estate
Okay.
can file, a lien holder such as a mortgage company, any lien holder that has interest at the time of the foreclosure can file a claim.
But only in that property?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And
So it could be a bank that holds a mortgage on
correct.
that property.
Yep, we've had IRS liens come through, state liens come through, you know, where taxes haven't been paid or whatever, they've been filed.
Any sense on the percentage of those which are not the property owner?
For the most part, it's just been the property owner.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, I think in addition to the personal representative of an estate, you know, where you have a court-appointed person with letters of authority, I think a guardian and a conservator who were in place at the time also can petition, but they have to have some legal status to do it, yeah. So. Any other questions, comments? Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Are we ready?
Yeah, so the next item is related to the Napier jurisdictional handoff. So just 1 second, we're gonna have Mark and Kevin Stack on via Zoom,
Okay,
and they'll be talking with you all. Just give me
okay,
1 second, I'm gonna switch the overhead slide.
okay.
Look at me helping.
Did we get them on though yet?
Both have received the link, neither is on, so I can start
I
walking
was
the
gonna
group
say, we can
through.
talk about that.
Yeah.
So,
So will you watch the Zoom and see if either joins?
yeah,
Mr. Chair. So Mark and Kevin from the road department are in the process of joining the Zoom, but I'm gonna walk you through this while we wait for those guys. It's relatively simple and it shouldn't be a surprise. So over the last year and a half, road department staff have been talking with the admin committee on and off and with the board generally about the jurisdictional transfer So essentially a handoff of ownership. So this is a section of Napier Avenue. And if you look to the overhead screen, you can see it would be the section of Napier between 94 and 31. And currently MDOT controls this. Due to traffic counts, due to MDOT criteria, MDOT has determined that it is no longer a property that they're warranted to control. And put simply, with the completion of the 31 bypass, MDOT projects that there will be far less traffic moving on this section. What you're looking at would be the first step of that jurisdictional transfer. Now, the benefit of this is that when MDOT is transferring the road to us, they are also bringing in funding to rebuild it to essentially new condition. So this is one that if the board agrees to accept the transfer of ownership, you'll also be receiving a substantial amount of funding from MDOT. I believe it's roughly $1.8 million. So the plan would be to move through the resolution process to accept formal ownership, and at the same time be going out to bid for the rebuild of this section of roadway. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions from the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you explain better to me where it is?
Yeah, so,
Road, what street or something?
yep, so beginning at the overpass, the I-94 overpass. So if you're going past the Shell station, heading towards Lake Michigan College, at that overpass, that would be the start of the transfer. And then as you continue heading towards Michigan State University Extension's campus, at the next highway overpass, that would be the end of the transfer. So it's a relatively large section of roadway. Yeah, it's real positive. What comes with this is you'll have local control on lane configuration, but then you'll also be completely rebuilding the road surface. And we do have Kevin Stack, who has joined us. Both Kevin and Mark are at a roads conference.
Morning.
The mic, please. Sorry, they can't hear you.
They were gonna shrink this back down from 4 lanes to like the rest of Napier, 1 and then a center lane for.
Yeah.
Still the thoughts.
So Kevin, the question, good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Mark. The question that was just asked by Commissioner Bollrath is, can you speak to the lane configuration? Will the overall width stay the same? Will you shrink the overall width? Will you do some type of lane diet? Can you describe to the board what's planned for Napier, assuming the transfer of ownership occurs?
So over the past year, we have done a study with MDOT on traffic counts out there before and after the bypass was opened. Before the bypass was open, we averaged about 13 to 17,000 cars a day out there, depending on the time of day, time of year. That number fluctuated. We did a week-long count with MDOT after the bypass opened, and we are down to somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 cars a day. So we saw a significant drop in the amount of traffic on there. This road now flows less traffic than the rest of Napier to the west, and actually almost flows less traffic than Red Arrow Highway itself. So the idea is we have a consultant on board getting ready to survey this, get it laid out, but the idea is to take the 2 outer lanes out, both east and west directions where the concrete curb and gutter is, to get rid of the dips that you have now at the drainage structures and take it down to 3 lanes. And then the question becomes, do we need to have curb and gutter reinstalled, or can we do a sheet flow in the ditches on either side? So that's what the survey is going to tell us. But the idea is to take it down to 3 lanes to provide easier access on and off for commercial vehicles out of your avenue, provide dedicated left turn lane and right turn lanes into Lake Michigan College, onto your avenue, onto Benton Center. When you get to Benton Center, we are going to maintain the 4 lanes, technically 5 lanes across the bridge between the on and off ramps of the bypass. That section will stay the same. We plan to, if we go back to the issue we had with South Benton Center Road, being a public road not open and the MDOT park and ride, We're gonna reconstruct that intersection to match the north side. So that way, whoever does develop that property does have access into that. But the idea is to take it down 2-3 lanes between the on and off ramp of the bypass and the on and off ramp of I-94.
Hey, Kevin, can you also address the funding agreement that will come with the jurisdictional transfer?
Yes, so there's been a change in how MDOT handles these jurisdictional changes. Before, they would basically give you a contract for 30 years with a payment every year. They're getting away from all that this year, which is good because they are going to give us a lump sum check basically to go do whatever we want with Napier. So they base that money off of what the existing road is currently and what it would take to improve the road as it sits today. So that would be resurfacing it, reconstructing drainage structures all along the way, doing spot curb repair, all that. So that rough estimate came back at about $1.887 million. That does include money in there for design, bringing the design consultant on board, construction inspection, everything, start to finish to do this project.
What about the thought about any roundabouts at those exit ramps?
The exit ramps are still under MDOT jurisdiction. So basically MDOT will maintain jurisdiction of the bridge decks of I-94 and the bypass, but the signals, all the signals will remain under MDOT jurisdiction. So it'll be up to them if they wanted to put any type of roundabout at those signals.
Hi, Kevin, Bob Harrison, a series of questions. One, will any changes be made to the I-94 bridge at all? Or I assume not for the bypass, but for the 94 bridge?
No, like I mentioned, the bridge decks themselves will be under MDOT jurisdiction. So they'll maintain those as needed. Everything outside of those bridge decks, and when I say bridge decks, when you go across the concrete is the bridge deck. Any asphalt outside of that will be the county's jurisdiction. So this project only shows from I-94 to the bypass, but we are going to push this all the way to Crystal Avenue with our jurisdiction when we do this construction, but we will not be touching the bridge decks or the lane configuration on the bridge itself.
Okay, the second question is, will the speed limit stay the same on Napier as it is
Yes.
today?
Yes, it will stay the same.
Then I guess a third question, I do recollect a little dispute going on over the property adjacent to the park and ride at 31 with a local property owner. Will that enter into any of this work?
Yeah, so that's what I was describing a little bit ago about the South Benton Center access right there at the park and ride. We are going to build that to be a true approach that will match basically how it looks on the north side when you turn on the Benton Center headed north. It'll basically be mirrored across to the south side. We'll build a short section, about 100 feet of road there, just enough for the park and ride to come off the side of it. And then any future development will have the start of a road that can go back in there.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question, I know as you are heading west on Napier, as you come up to the traffic moving at the posted speed limit comes rather quickly for people pulling out from onto Napier. Will there be any consideration to maybe leveling that a bit or opening up the view so that the cars aren't surprised at the speed with which traffic heads on Napier?
So once we have the survey of the project, we'll know what it meets as far as geometric designs and clear distance and sight distance. But part of that issue will be alleviated by narrowing the road. We'll bring you out into that intersection a little further. So when you're looking back to the east, when you're facing south, looking east down Napier, you'll be able to see further and see that traffic coming and be able to make that movement across one lane only. You won't have to cross two lanes. You can make one movement across one lane. seek refuge in the turn lane until you have a safe exit to where you need to go. But yes, all the safety aspects we looked at, but considering it's a trunk line right now, for the state, all the clear distances are met for the 4-lane/5 lane now, but when we take it down to 3, we'll be revisiting all those to make sure that we are still the same, if not better.
John,
Kevin, is there any possibility that we could negotiate with, if they're in charge of the on-ramps, the southbound on-ramp for 31 at Napier desperately needs a dusk to dawn light on it. And is there a way to, if they're in charge of that with this, is there a way to just have them put up and maintain that dusk to dawn light? That, for whatever reason, there's no ambient light there. And of course, you've got that parking area there where people can partner to ride right there as well. But there's no ambient light right there. And that on-ramp on the southbound on 31 is tough to see. And so is there,
with us taking jurisdiction of the actual Napier Road out there, I think we could take control of that and actually put that light there ourselves for a safety reason, funded by the county with, the hundreds of other streetlights we have, saying we're lighting intersection. We may be able to work in conjunction with MDOT and they may do it themselves, but that is a pretty simple question. And I think asked that we can make that happen.
all right, thank you.
would that come through admin committee? Would that come through the admin committee? Put that light in?
So this is not a traffic light. This is just a night light, basically.
Yeah. Would that be admin that would approve that? I mean, I know it's not a road, it's not a traffic signal. It's right, probably one of these.
He indicated that they can just do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Mac, what we can do is as the plan comes together for Napier, we can keep the admin committee briefed on what changes they're going to see. We can use the admin committee as a little bit of essentially a litmus test to make sure that the design is not too wild for anyone's take. And as we do those updates, we can make sure that we address the overhead lighting question. So to answer your question, yeah, but what we'll try to do is make it a little bit of a higher level conversation. Because this is going to be very different than what people have grown used to over decades. What we're talking about is potentially a major reduction in total lanes and width.
Yeah. Ma'am.
Is that where the Piggott girls' property is? That, does it affect them that get off or anything? They sell fruit.
Piggott farm stand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's to the east.
Oh, it doesn't go by it?
I could probably speak to that as well as anybody. There is a lot of farm traffic on Napier Avenue, along your avenue. There's a lot of farm traffic there.
Okay.
And so the thought to go down to 3 lanes is not the same thought that'll have to be discussed as it was when it was Napier Avenue from, to the hospital here. It's not the same discussion because there will be combines, there will be farm tractors and traders and daily, a lot of them, because there's the Piggott farm, George McManus is farms vegetables. And so they're up and down that road all the time with that stuff. So the 3-lane discussion and 5 versus 5-lane discussion it's not the same discussion that it was before. And the road commission will have to know, the road department will have to know, excuse me, that there's some other considerations.
Hey, Kevin, can you just illustrate to the board how far east will you be going? And specifically, Commissioner Yarborough asked, are you going all the way to Piggott's and the farm stand that's out there?
So there's a pavement joint that currently exists between Blue Creek and the traffic light. You'll see a pavement, I think it's just after Blue Creek actually, where we paved up to 4 years ago, and then the state did some type of resealing after that. That will be our pavement joint where we'll start. And then everything from that point basically to Benton Center Road will remain the same. Once we get to Benton Center Road is when we'll start to taper the 3 lanes down to get to 3 lanes, and then we'll run the 3 lanes all the way basically to Euclid by the animal control and health department. And then there we'll widen back out to how it looks today. But to John's point, as far as the farm implements and stuff, when we go to 3 lanes, the idea of having a curb and gutter there is what we are trying to get rid of, because that's what's going to hinder traffic for agricultural. Our idea would be to keep that as a 4 to 5 foot paved shoulder with a 4 to 5 foot gravel shoulder outside of that. That allows any type of, your typical farm tractor wheel can run on that gravel, and any implement that stretches wider than that piece of equipment can overhang and not drag anything, grab anything, and be able to fit in there properly while allowing traffic to move around it. So kind of that point, John, you're absolutely right. This isn't the same as downtown, referred to as an urban design. This is going to be more of a rural design, meaning we have to accommodate that larger vehicle for agricultural industry to move down through there. But we also have to look at the amount of commercial traffic coming off of and future commercial traffic that will be coming off of there as well. But yes, so we will be redoing that entire section there. Like I said, MDOT's only concerned about us going to the bridge deck of I-94 on the west side of it. Right there is about where they're thinking we're going to stop. But like I mentioned, if we're going to be here, we're going to continue all the way down to Crystal Avenue and finish all of Napier. So all of Napier will be completed next year.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, if we take this into our county roads, does that add mileage then to the funding that we receive from the state? And is it about 2 miles?
Yeah, so it'll be 2.05 center lane miles that will be added to our primary network. So yes, this will add to our MTF formula, our Act 51 formula that distributes our MTF.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess just to add on to this too, a little bit more the logistics side of this is right now maintenance is pre-planning this, because right now Napier is plowed by the state of Michigan. This winter, if this jurisdictional transfer happens, it will not be plowed by the state of Michigan. It'll be plowed by the Berrien County Road Department. So we were changing our operations to make sure that road is cleared first, since we are right there. So just FYI, there is a lot more logistics happening in the background on this.
Okay. Brian.
Kevin, I think that's it for the other board. To the other board, in your packet, you've seen some of the background information on this. We'll be working with Annette to get this queued up and ready for the board to consider that authorizing resolution to complete the jurisdictional transfer. Kevin, Mark, thanks for joining via Zoom today. Much appreciated. Really good information.
No problem.
Have a good day. Let's move on to public comments. Does anyone have anything to share? Other business? Well, how about we break early for committees and we'll come back at 10:30.